Most know me as Dr. Dwayne Compton. I am a 2007 graduate of the College of Education and Human Development from the Counseling and Personnel Services program with a concentration in college student personnel. And I'm a Louisville native, born and raised right here in Louisville, in West Louisville to be more exact, and proud graduate of Shawnee High School. Upon graduating from high school, I had an opportunity to go to Berea College, where I received my bachelor's degree, but also had an opportunity to participate in collegiate basketball. So I played basketball at Berea College. And upon graduating from Berea College, I was fortunate to start my career in higher education, working in undergraduate admissions. And after about 4 years of working in undergraduate admissions, I had an opportunity to then transition to, back home to the University of Louisville, where I could not only, where I not only received my, started my career in the College of Education and Human Development. Or let me go back and say that when I came to the University of Louisville in 2005, I was starting my master's program in college student personnel, and at the same time fortunate to shift from working in undergraduate admissions at Berea College to working in undergraduate admissions under Jenny Sawyer at the University of Louisville. So that actually started my career at the University of Louisville. Now, 15 years later, I'm still here and starting my 16th academic year with the University of Louisville.
After leaving Berea, was it the hometown connection that brought you back to the University of Louisville? I mean, I'm sure you could have gone a lot of different places to continue your education. Was it that hometown connection, or what was it about Louisville that brought you back here?
Yeah, great question. So when I made a decision to leave and go to Berea College, of course, Berea College has its own storied history. And it was an opportunity for me to go to college for free and to have a chance to play basketball at the next level. And when I thought about continuing my education as well as my career, I always had planned in the back of my mind that I wanted to get a degree, one of my degrees from the University of Louisville. I mean, I always grew up a huge Louisville Cardinal athletic fan, and just kind of being, a Louisville native, that was a desire that I always had. So I kept saying, as I advance educationally, I want to be able to get a degree from the University of Louisville. And I was, just fortunate, to be totally honest, that I had not only the opportunity to advance my formal education by getting my master's at the University of Louisville, but also advancing my career because things, the stars aligned for me to not only start my master's program, and as I indicated, I had opportunity to work in undergraduate admissions. I had developed a great relationship over the years during my time at Berea with individuals from the University of Louisville Office of Undergraduate Admissions. And so when I reached out to them to make them aware that I was coming back home, they gladly welcomed me back, and it just so happened there was an opportunity that I was able to start working in undergraduate admissions, primarily working with, at the time, Phyllis Clark and the late Darla Frazier in the diversity recruitment office, primarily working with those students that are underrepresented throughout the state of Kentucky, as well as interacting with our students who will be awarded the Wilfred R. Porter Senior Scholarship.
That's great. You just mentioned a couple names, but I know you also mentioned Jenny Sawyer in the question before. I think what makes Louisville or U of L such a great place is kind of the community of people around the university. And as someone with between your role as an employee and as a student, you've been there almost 20 years total. Who were some of the people that have really impacted you along the way, whether as a student or whether it was early in your career or even maybe now in your career? I know there's a lot of people that have helped you along the way.
Wow, that's a a tall order to name everybody that have been impacted. My life has been impacted by whether it be educationally or even professionally. As I indicated before, I had an opportunity to work closely with Phyllis Clark and Darla Frazier, working under the leadership of Jenny Sawyer, who is still around and making a huge impact, and watching her her love for the university, drive, the work that she does has been something that I've really taken note of, and the impact that she has made on many, many lives that have come through the University of Louisville. But, I would be remiss if I didn't, indicate folks like Dr. Michael Sujay, who was my graduate advisor in the College Student Personnel Program. And even as recent as this past February, March, I had an opportunity to accompany Dr. Sujay, as well as Dr. Glenn Giddings and Dr. Swanzia Rivers, in taking students on an international service learning trip to Trinidad and Tobago. And so, I think back to 2005 when, Dr. Sujay served as my graduate mentor, and how things came full circle to most recently in March of 2020, when we had an opportunity just before COVID hit for us to take students on an international service learning trip that he and several others founded. Other individuals that have impacted my career here have been individuals like Dan Hall, former vice president for community engagement, and of course, Dr. Ralph Fitzpatrick. Being a Black male in higher ed, it's always been great to have individuals in leadership roles that I've aspired towards. But then, most importantly, my colleagues that I've worked with over the years. Too many to name. You all know one, your very own Nakia Strickland, and of course Leandra Gully, and Earl Went, Chris Seals, and Dr. Chris Seals, and many others that I've had a chance to work with. Dr. Tia Dumas and Dr. Shelley Thomas in the College of Education, and again, there are many others that I know I'll leave their late names off. But to be totally honest, the biggest impact has come by way of working with the students at the University of Louisville. Those undergraduate, graduate, and professional students. They're the reason I stay here. I'm a very student-centered professional. It's something that I learned in working at both Berea College as well as here at the University of Louisville, is to focus on students. And that's my why, is helping students reach the goals and aspirations that they come into the University of Louisville with. And so you want to know the biggest impact it has been the students, because just as much as they've learned from me, I've learned from them over the years, and it continues to serve kind of as my center point as to why I do what I do.
That's a perfect segue, because I wanted to talk to you about some of the students now. And if so much of your career, looking through, I've got a list of your accomplishments from, Executive Director for Diversity Initiatives, University of Louisville Minority Teacher Recruitment Project from 2013 to 2015. Right now, with everything that's going on in the country, I mean, what if you were to give a young man coming into college, looking to kind of follow into your footsteps, some advice, maybe not sure which career path, what they want to do with their lives, what would you say to that young man right now?
One of the first things that I would say to that young man is, in which I have said to many, even current day, is that, the world needs you. Our community needs you. That's the first thing that I would say. And getting a formal education can help you in more ways than you will even realize at the current moment. And by coming to the University of Louisville, you'll be surrounded by a support system that's going to not only make sure that you get into, through, but most importantly, graduate from the university. So, I encourage young men like myself to dream big and not let anyone get in the way of those dreams, and to surround themselves with individuals that look like them, and individuals that may not look like them, who could help them achieve their goals. For me, I've been fortunate to connect with and engage with a wide variety of individuals, a very diverse group, and I've leveraged that. I've had individuals like Dr. Derek Brooms. He is one that really helped serve as a mentor for me and getting me through my doctoral education, by serving as my chair. And even now consistently checking in on me. So, one of the things I often say to young men is get a mentor. It's all right to have a mentor. Don't be afraid to utilize that mentor. And we need mentor for different phases and different, portions of our lives. Academically, you need mentors, personally, professionally, spiritually. So, I encourage individuals to kind of set their egos to the side and embrace the mentorship that they may receive, but also not be afraid to ask questions. And then, the last thing is I often say is, have the courage to walk in your truth and not be ashamed of where you come from. I think oftentimes, folks are afraid to share their narrative because it may not be the prettiest narrative, in terms of where they come from. But the reality is if they use education and they use their network and consistently move toward their goals, they can change that narrative that they came out of.
That's great. I love that answer, and I'm right there with you when it comes to mentorship and how important that is. And I've got a bunch of great mentors in my life that I lean on all the time. And actually, that takes us to where I was going next, because on this bio sheet I have about you, there's more board affiliations than I can even read off here. Board involvement, and I wanted to ask you, is that why you're so involved in all of these? Because it's a wide range of boards too. Is that why you're so involved in giving of your time, is because of the mentorship and how important it is to you, or why do you give your time back like that?
Yeah, so it's important for me to give back to community and not just a one-dimensional perspective. As you indicated, I serve on a wide variety of boards, and one of the things that I learned through my participation, through my employment at the University of Louisville and engagement with the community, as well as my participation in the Leadership Louisville program, is that there are a lack of individuals that look like me on a lot of boards across the city, and I'm sure the same is the case for statewide boards. And so one of the things that I often was told growing up is that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. Meaning that if you don't have representation at the table to help the leaders make those key decisions and provide a perspective that they may not otherwise have, then how can we expect to elevate racial equity across the city? And so, me as a person to do diversity, equity, inclusion, I feel it is important to lend my voice, lend my expertise, however I can, to help organizations and entities across our city and even regionally and nationally, however I can, to help make life better, particularly for folks who look like me, but for everybody. I always like to see myself as an advocate for everyone, but more specifically, Black and brown individuals that look like me, and to ensure that we have a seat at the table and that we can weigh in on some of those key decisions that may help alleviate some of the disparities that we know that exist in a number of different areas throughout our communities.
That's great, thank you. And I like that line. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. I'd never heard it before, but that's a great way to put it. Let me look down here on the list. I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to have you kind of complete this sentence for me. We're having every award winner say, "I love us," and then whatever comes to your mind.
All right, if you could repeat that, because it broke up a little bit.
I'm sorry. It's I love U of L because, and then you could take it in any direction you want.
All right. So I love U of L because I know that when it comes to our public universities here in the state of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, the University of Louisville is always about looking out for the best interests of its students. To see that they've had a history of students getting into, through, and graduating out. We have countless alums that we know locally, regionally, and nationally that are doing great work and positively impacting their communities. In addition, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my love for U of L sports, and always growing up a Cardinal fan. So, I try to follow all of our sports, whether I attend in person or not. And of course, I have to, censor what I say oftentimes when our teams aren't performing the best. But nonetheless, the University of Louisville has grown. I love the growth that I've seen in the University of Louisville over my 15 years here, and the transformation that is made and the fact that we have collectively individuals at the university that want to see students thrive, see all students thrive, and put them in a position to do so.
Perfect. I want to be mindful of your time, so I only have one or two more questions for you, and then I'll open up the floor to anything else. But I know just from talking with you before or after board meetings how busy of a guy you are. I know with your wife, you have 3 daughters. I know you're very active in their lives, because we were talking about you traveling for tournaments and taking them on trips, but yet you're still involved in all the boards. You're obviously still involved in our board, and I guess the question is, you're so accomplished. You got these degrees. You're pretty established in your career. It'd be real easy to kind of put it into coast mode now and just kind of live off what you've done. What continues to motivate you in the morning? Why do you get up in the morning and continue to push and to do what you do?
Yeah, great question. So for me, what motivates me when I crack my eyes open, first and foremost, is my family. I haven't had a chance to state it, but my wife is a 3-time grad from the University of Louisville, and she loves the university just as much. But I realize that we have 3 daughters that's watching every step that we make. They're very inquisitive. They ask questions about college and about what it takes to get to college and about different majors. So I love the fact that my wife and I can have that positive impact on our kids. But even more important, the positive impact that I can make on other people's kids and helping them, discover what it is their passion may be. And at this current juncture in my career, help them explore a career in medicine and science research. It's devastating to hear and see statistics that really show the disparity between those individuals that may be traditionally underrepresented in medicine. And so when I wake up, my goal is to try to figure out, okay, what can I do to help advance, whether it be somebody is in P through 12 education, or one of our current undergrad students, or one of our current medical students, to help them advance toward becoming a physician or even a science researcher. So it's really about educating folks about their options and how they might be able to achieve their goals. And one of the things that I tell students, and I say it and I'll continue to say it, is never tell yourself no first. Many students get discouraged real easy when they look at how daunting it may be, or how rigorous academics they may need to have in order to pursue a career in medicine and science research, or even in higher ed for that matter. And I always say, never tell yourself no first. Put forth the work, surround yourself with good people, and continue to push forward, because we need you not only in this world, but we need you to make a positive impact. And you can do that, by going to college and getting formal education. And so for me, that's when I wake up, that's my goal, is to figure out, what can I do to help a student advance one step closer to getting their degree. And particularly for many like me, I'm a first generation college student, graduate, both bachelor's, master's, and doctorate respectively. And so, I do have a passion of helping those students that might be first generation or from low socioeconomic backgrounds. And so that's what continues to drive me, and why I don't mind working so hard and being a busy man, as folks say, because I know that I'm making a positive impact on not just my kids' lives, but the lives of others.
Thank you. I want to ask you a question about diversity inclusion, and when you look back over your decade and a half at working at U of L, what strides has U of L made in the realm of diversity and inclusion, and then what work remains to be done?
Yeah, so again, starting my professional career at the University of Louisville, I was fortunate to work with the Porter Scholarship Program. And when I look back, we went from having the Wilfred R. Porter Scholarship Program to having the Muhammad Ali Scholars Program, to having the Dr. Martin Luther King Scholars Program, and now having a full-blown Latinx Student Union. Those things weren't in place when I started. And in some ways, I can look back and I can see my contributions to those things, but I think about the contributions of many others to see that those type of diversity, equity, inclusion goals come to fruition. The University of Louisville has a lot to hang its hat on, but as you indicated, we still have a long ways to go. Because truthfully, it would be great to have our faculty and staff, demographics look a lot like our students. We really are doing well from the realm of recruiting and retaining and graduating great students, but we have to do the same thing with recruitment and retention of faculty and staff, and more specifically those tenure track faculty members, as well as those staff members in the top tier leadership positions. So, I've been fortunate here lately to work with be a part of our Cardinal Anti-Racism Task Force, and as well as participate with the university-wide strategic plan. And so I do know that under Dr. Neely Bendaputi's leadership, we will advance in some of the areas that I just mentioned.
That's great. I've got one more for you, and then I'll turn it over to you. In your time working with the students, what has impressed you most about the student body at the University of Louisville?
One of the things that's impressed me most about the student body at the University of Louisville is we've been fortunate to have students that are not only academically talented, but we've had students that are not afraid to utilize their activist voice. Many students are not afraid to speak up, to tell us when we're doing great, but also to tell us when we're not doing great, and how we could be a better institution and create a better climate for them to be successful in. And so for me, that would be the best thing about our students. They're very vocal. They're not afraid to come and share how they're feeling and to hold us accountable. And we need to continue to listen to our students because that is our primary constituent that we serve, is our students. And so we need to be mindful that we put the action to our words as we talk about diversity and inclusion and creating a climate where everyone, regardless to identity characteristics, can be successful. We have to ensure to that and creating that environment that we speak of so often.
I think you've done great. Is there anything I didn't ask that you wanted to get off your chest or make sure you shared for the video? I feel like we talked a while, but I want to be mindful of your time, but I also want you to feel free to take the floor if you have anything.
Yes. So, one of the things that I want to leave primarily with our alumni. Yes, I'm an employee, but I'm also a proud alumni of the University of Louisville. And I understand that there are some alumni that may be disengaged. We have some that are really engaged, but we have even more that are not as engaged. So I would like to challenge our alumni to reconnect with the university if you've been disconnected for some time. Because there's a lot of really great things happening at the University of Louisville that we could utilize the collective expertise of our alum, whether they're here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky or beyond. So I do want to leave that last note, and in that, being connected doesn't always mean financially, even though we love the treasure. And we can do a lot to advance things with your treasure, but we also need your time and talents in a variety of ways. And so, I put that challenge out there for alumni who haven't been connected with the university and or their particular college or school to re-engage and identify ways that you can lend your time, talents, and treasures to help you avail, move forward and progress in ways that we see happening at other institutions across the country.